Arwen. And who is that?
Why, she's Elrond's daughter, of course, and Aragorn's beloved as well. Although you didn't hear that from me, she's a sweet lady, and I'm sure she'd be willing to give me a hand with this.
I'll take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
Quest.
I'll be sure to do that. Farewell, Bilbo.
That's Arwen up there. Oh, hi.
Welcome, dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Welcome to Imladris. Are you in need of anything to help you in your travels? I have many things in my keeping that might serve you well.
My thanks for the welcome, lady. Might I ask your name?
No, indeed. I am Alare, one of Master Elrond's stewards. I help to manage the needs of his household, including arms and armor. I suspect you might have need of such things.
What sort of folk dwell here in Rivendell?
Elves, for the most part. My people have dwelt in Imladris for a very long time indeed. But there are other folk to be found here as well. Elrond welcomes all people of goodwill. The Dunedain
Exhausting
come often,
dialogue
your own
options.
folk come occasionally. We are even home to one
The
special
pinnacle
hobbit.
of RPGs.
Who is this hobbit you speak of?
Why,
Frodo?
it is none other than Bilbo
Oh.
the Magnificent, greatest of the Shire folk. Your folk know him well as the hobbit who overthrew the dragon Smaug and helped reclaim your lost realm of Erebor. Although these days he is more interested in poetry than adventure. And food and drink,
Seeing
of
him is
course.
kind of old.
Keeping a hobbit well fed is enough to keep several stewards busy.
Oh, really?
This is such a peaceful place. It must take a fair number of warriors to keep it so.
This is a place of learning and peace, not a fortress or camp of war. But there are those here who wield great power, especially the Lord Elrond. Yet even he does not have the strength to overthrow the Dark Lord, or to resist him if he comes against us with great strength.
I intend to do all I can to see that day never comes.
Nobly spoken. I am told you have done great deeds on behalf of all free folk, and I am certain you will accomplish greater things still. But if you plan to contend with the enemy, you must be well prepared. Perhaps you should examine the stores we have on hand.
What can you tell me about Elrond?
To tell you everything I know of Master Elrond would take many days. Let it suffice to say that he is an elven lord of great and noble lineage, ancient beyond mortal reckoning, and wise beyond measure. None are more skilled as a healer, or more versed in the lore of ages past.
Alright. Quick sale. These things are expensive as ass. To have the money for any of this. Dang, dude. Wow. All these two-handed blunt. Where's the single-handed blunt weapon with the cool, like, elemental thing damage? Big nabbit. Well, no, I will buy that. It's got some nice stamina. You must be the person who repairs.
Even in strange surroundings, you
God
can
damn it.
trust a dwarf to find his way to a forge. You are welcome in my smithy, Farin of Erebor.
Seems like you're preparing for something. Can you tell me what you have planned?
My fellow smiths and I are preparing for a great work. Soon we will be called upon to reforge the legendary sword Narsil. In the meantime, I've been sharpening my skills by practicing the art of imbuing gemstones.
You sound like Liam O'Brien too.
What can you tell me of this sword, Narsil?
Narsil was the sword of Elendil, a mighty lord of the Dunedain who defied the Dark Lord in the War of the Lost Alliance. He bore the sword in battle against Sauron, but he was slain and the sword was broken. Since that time, the shards of the sword have been an heirloom of the House of Elendil. It was to remain broken until the day when an heir of Elendil would go to war to reclaim the crown and title of king. That day will come soon, and the sword must be made whole once again.
What do you mean by imbuing?
Simply that certain objects have inherent virtues, and a skilled artisan can, through his craft, increase those virtues and bind them to an object for advantage. Gemstones are very strong vessels for this process. Sadly, appropriate gemstones have become difficult to find. The growing trouble throughout the land keeps travelers away, and our own people are staying closer to home.
Maybe I can lend a hand with that. I'll be traveling soon.
I would be pleased to have your help.
Another side
I will
quest.
provide you with a list of the types of gemstones that are of the greatest value to me. If you collect the stones, I am certain I could create something that you would find useful. But to be of use, the gemstones must be of the highest quality. Fortunately, we have as a guest a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Glóin is his name, and he is skilled in the appraisal of gems of all sorts. Once you have gathered the stones, allow him to examine them. He'll know if they are suitable.
I've found a few things on my travels that you might be interested in. Take a look.
Ah, these are work of Westernese, the lost land of Numenor. The men who forged these items were skilled indeed. You have the makings of a unique weapon here. Although these components were never part of a single work, I believe you have assembled everything I would need to make it so. The finished weapon would undoubtedly carry some elven qualities.
What do you mean by that?
Only that with a work such as this, the finished product is liable to reflect the nature of the smith who assembles it. If, for example, a dwarven smith were to complete this weapon, it might possess quite different qualities from the weapon I would create.
So yeah, this is where we can take those items we found and give them to either this guy to create weapons or a choice of a weapon that we could use, or we can take it to a dwarf later or something later to create us a different, I think it's a dwarf, but he should have an axe and or like a blunt weapon or something that would better suit me. So that's what we're gonna do.
It seems fitting that a dwarven smith should do this work for me.
Or dwarves.
As you wish. I will help you should you change your mind.
Go ahead and repair while we're here. Thank you, Mr. Broheim.
You don't look like any elf of Rivendell. I'd wager you are one of the wood elves of Mirkwood.
You are correct. I am Legolas, son of Thranduil, king of the Woodland Realm. And I believe you are a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain.
I've been through Mirkwood. It baffles me that you wood elves chose to live in such a place.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty. But now, it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
I didn't know that this was Legolas's like main mission until this game. I thought he was just like sent from his father or his people to represent you know, his people and his father in the council. I literally thought that's all it was.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
I don't remember the movies really saying anything about it either.
The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum manage to escape? I understood you Wood Elves were pretty good at holding prisoners. But this one got away?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
Dol Guldur. A name of dread to my folk. What do you know of it?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
So, will you be on your way back to Mirkwood soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent Elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
It seems a little strange that, with a house full of his own people to consider, Elrond chose you, a Wood Elf, to represent the elven folk in the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
Why'd you volunteer?
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory. Or at least, to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
Good luck to you, Legolas. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I can talk with Aragorn too, right? Where's Aragorn? Can I go up? Oh, I totally can. Oh, there he is.
Ah, Farin. I am glad you are here. I feel I must apologize to you. When I was told a dwarf had appeared on the borders of the Shire asking to join the Dunedain in their watch, I was suspicious. I instructed Halbarad to keep a careful eye upon you, fearing you were a spy. Clearly he grew to trust you, and after all you have done, I have as well. I am sorry to have doubted you, my friend.
I'd like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
Tell me about the Wood Elf, Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar, the Elves, along with us on this venture. They have been foes of Sauron since before the ancestors of the Dunedain first returned to the shores of Middle-earth. Legolas is keen of eye and ear, and he is unmatched as a bowman. His arrows seldom miss their mark.
What about this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
At least you will have a dwarf along with you, and one of the best too. You won't find a better companion than Gimli, son of Glóin.
I have only just met Gimli, but I hope he will prove to be much like you, stout-hearted and reliable, and a terror to his enemies in battle.
What about these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin in the face of so much that will be new and frightening.
No,
I have
Sam
traveled
isn't
with
here.
these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy
I'd like
than
to
many
talk
would
to
suspect.
Sam.
What about Gandalf? What can you tell me of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance, the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
So, you go now to claim the throne of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
I take it you'd never heard of Agandaur before we spoke of him.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agandaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago, I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agandaur. These black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
Word is you've traveled a great deal. Is there anything you can tell me of the Etnors?
Only that it is a dangerous and unforgiving place. My own grandfather Arador was slain by trolls in the Etten Moors. It is important we learn if the enemy is active in the moors, but we do not send you there lightly. Be on your guard
Didn't
at
know
all
that
times
about
while
his
you venture
grandfather
there.
either.
Good luck to you.
Blade that was broken. Must be built again. It must be remade. Yeah, let's go talk with Arwen. I have something to give you, Arwen.
Magovanen, well met and welcome to the safe haven of Imladris.
My thanks. I'm much honored to meet you, Lady Arwen.
Durin's folk are welcome here. You have endured great danger and given us urgent warning of a new threat to the north. For this, we honor you, Farin.
Well, it was nothing, lady. It's nice of you fair folk to welcome a dwarf.
You show the modesty worthy of a hero. Estelle and my brothers have spoken highly of your courage at Fornost, and I thank you for your part in seeing to my brother's safe return. Please, take your ease and rest a while in our halls. You will find all your heart could desire, whether it be food, drink, song, or storytelling.
Estelle? Who might this person be?
Your pardon, good dwarf. It is my way to call Aragorn by the name he was given as he grew up in Imladris. Estelle means hope.
Ah.
He has a long list of names, to be sure. How'd he come by that one?
It is common practice to foster the children of chieftains of the Dunedain in Imladris. Aragorn was but 2 years of age when his mother, Gilrain, brought him here after his father was slain by an orc arrow, Isildur. Elrond became like a father to him. Knowing the enemy sought ever for a living heir of Isildur, he renamed the boy Estelle to keep his true name and lineage hidden. Aragorn was 20 before Elrond revealed these things to him and gave him tokens of his heritage. But he remains Estelle to me, for he is my heart's hope, even as he is the hope of the Dunedain.
If you pardon my saying so, you speak his name with an uncommon fondness. Do I guess right?
Long ago, I pledged myself to him beneath the golden boughs of Lothlorien, saying to him, "Dark is the shadow, and yet my heart rejoices, for you, Estelle, shall be among the great, whose valor will destroy it." Yet there is much pain in this choice, for I am Elrond's daughter and half-elven. To cleave to Estelle, I must forsake my immortal life and become mortal, accepting the bitter with the sweet. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will leave Middle-earth, and we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle, to Aragorn.
I'd happily sit for a long spell in Rivendell, but Elrond set my friends and me a task to scout the Ettenmoors. We'd best be on our way soon.
Then I will not keep you, but we may be of service to one another. I am helping my father brew a potion known as Miraval. One sip of Miraval can renew heart and soul, and bring new vigor to weary limbs. I am in short supply of certain rare ingredients that may be found in the Ettenmoors. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring any you find while carrying out your mission. With enough ingredients, I will return the favor by brewing an extra flask that you may have for your own use.
Oh. Thank you.
That's a generous offer, Lady Arwen. I'll keep an eye out for what you need and bring it back once I finish scouting around.
When we were in the Borrowed Downs, I thought I was looking for quest items relating to this quest. That's why I kept saying, we gotta keep an eye out for the plants. And it's like all we needed was one. one of one plant.
Well met, Farin. I continue to brew Miraval, but I am concerned about our dwindling stocks. We still have need of those ingredients I spoke of before.
Not that I mind helping, but is this Miravor worth all the effort?
You will be able to judge for yourself if you can bring me the ingredients. One sip restores strength, uplifts the spirit, and brings hope to the weary heart. I wish you luck in your search.
It's been many years since I first met Bilbo the Renowned, and it's an honor to meet him again. There's no one quite like him, don't you think?
I had once thought Bilbo unique, but now that I have met Frodo, I say that elves know less of hobbits than we think. They have a strength within that is far greater than their stature. How many of us, thinking ourselves strong, could have borne the ring as long as Bilbo did, without being turned to evil? It sustained him, so that he is now very old amongst his kind, but it did not stain him, nor has it lessened his love of poetry and song. Dear old Bilbo, I believe there is nothing he loves more, except a good meal. In that, he remains a true hobbit.
Bilbo asked for help with a poem. I'm fond enough of the dwarvish sort of poetry, but this elvish verse is beyond me. He asked for your help, saying the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then it must be about Estelle. He is fond of writing verses in honor of his good friend, and therefore often comes to me for advice. You may leave it with me, Farin. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Thank you, that's a relief. It's not for a dwarf to be writing lines about the kings of men. And anyway, I have little time to spare for poetry. By your leave, lady, I should be going. Farewell.
Okay, perfect. That's basically what I wanted to do. I was fairly certain of my quest. Can I complete it? Talking to you?
Greetings! I hope the Lady Arwen will have some good suggestions for my verse. I'm really most eager to finish the thing.
Do all hobbits share your love of poetry?
Yes, I suppose so, although usually our songs and poems concern good food, good drink, and good humor. All those things we love the most. It's quite a bit different from what you find here in Rivendell.
But you were writing a poem about Aragorn. Certainly that is no drinking song.
well, one can't live long among the elves without some of their habits rubbing off, I suppose. Although I doubt I will ever match the elven appetite for music, poetry, and tales. They seem to like them as much as food, maybe even more.
Well, you'll never finish that poem if I don't stop pestering you with my questions. So, farewell for now.
Awesome.